Back with another episode of Council Bluffs today. Hi, I am Todd Studer. Wanted to jump on here real quick before we get to our interview with Keith Jones with Edward Jones, who's going to be bringing you some great tips on how to protect yourself from scams that are out there. I want to give a special thank you to everyone involved with the NAMI Walks event that was held last night in Clarinda. Now, NAMI covers 9 counties, so this year we had the walk event at the courthouse around the square in Clarinda. A lot of attendees, great energy, just a wonderful program. And I want to just take an opportunity to thank Anna and all of the team with NAMI Southwest Iowa that's on staff, all of the other board members, and everyone involved. This is important work that's going on, and I was excited to be able to be a part of it. I'm going to be bringing you some more information about that and hopefully some interviews coming up in the coming days from NAMI Walks for 2026. All right, as I mentioned, Keith Jones with Edward Jones in studio today, so we can learn a little bit more about what scams are out there, some of the different ways that you can protect yourself and also protect your family members. So let's get to it. Today, we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the scams that are out there. Look, I get text messages telling me that I owe the state of Iowa money for some toll road that I didn't pay. And I'm like, where's there a toll road in Iowa? I don't know where I was at, but it's just these phishing things, and they're just, or emails, or sometimes it's just running in the background, right? We don't even know that it came in.
Exactly.
So what kind of things do we need to be looking out for?
Yeah. Well, this is one of my, I guess, most recent favorite topics, and that is fraud prevention. It's become a favorite topic for me because, unfortunately, I've seen situations where, people are just unknowingly taken advantage of. And typically, in my case, it tends to be situations where people are getting scammed, often from phishing emails. Perhaps they click on something they shouldn't, and then all of a sudden now they're getting these solicitations and strange texts and requests.
Mm-hmm.
We all get them. I've done a little bit of research as to why that is, which we could talk a little bit about. But what we're trying to do is just really make the public more aware, and specifically, especially for seniors, people that are perhaps retired, that have reached retirement age and are potentially a target. They tend to have more money at their disposal because they've saved perhaps their whole lives.
Right.
And so they've got money that they have available, and it's discretionary as to what they do with it. And unfortunately, the scammers know that and target them.
So not just that particular segment of the population, but probably also talking to the next generation that maybe is trying to make sure that everything is fine with them, and the different things for them to look out for.
Absolutely, yes. And the more awareness we can bring around this topic, the more we can battle against the powers that be that are trying to scam us.
So the easy way to say this, and you talked about the why behind it. Bad guys do bad things. Is it as simple as that?
It is as simple as that. They're trying to get your money. It's as basic and simple as that. And oftentimes, many of these situations are ones where you, as a potential fraud victim, may be corresponding with someone, and you have a very different opinion of that person than is reality. And what I mean by that is, oftentimes it is not someone that is anywhere near us geographically. They might be in another country. They might be, only present in a virtual way and really don't have a presence. They, of course, use names that are fictitious. They may take a name that is actually real and a location. And of course, much of our public information is out there. How do we spell our name? Where do we live? That's all searchable, information for all of us to potentially have access to. And so these scammers sort of take on that identity for the sole purpose of doing a fraudulent activity and getting a potential victim to send them money.
I think too, with the internet and with the vast amount of information that is out there, I've heard people say before, well, how do I get that off? I don't want people to be able to know where I'm at. And I refer back to the very early days of the internet. And it was on one of my favorite TV programs, News Radio. And Joe Rogan was talking to somebody on that show. And somebody said, get it off the internet. And he said, that's like trying to take pee out of a pool. You can't do that. Once it's out there, it's out there.
And that's the unfortunate thing. The reality is that much of our information is public record.
Yeah.
You can do some things to reduce the amount of information that's out there, and we can talk about that. But for what you can control, you need to try to control it. But there's a lot of things you're just not going to be able to control.
Is there any way to gauge, okay, should I be looking specifically for this scam? Because to me, it just seems like they're very fluid.
Right.
And it's as soon as somebody may be onto something, the next 10 things are already coming in.
So here's the reality of that. The scammers will purchase information like our names and our cell phone numbers and our email addresses potentially. Ideally, for the scammer, if they get all that information, they can come at an attack from multiple different areas.
Okay.
And their goal is to build information about us. They also will search social media to see what is our family makeup? What do we like to do? Do we travel? So they can, tell us we missed a toll road somewhere and didn't pay the toll. And so they're constantly gathering this data to use against us. So when I refer to things that you can do, you need to opt out of things when you're signing up for a service.
Right.
We all sign up for services, and we're far too trusting about reading through or not reading through actually what those user agreements say.
Oh yeah, I think they're complicated on purpose.
They're very they're very complicated indeed. But the point is that when you can opt out of certain things, sharing of information and marketing from other companies that may be affiliated. And, I'm not an attorney, so obviously I can't give legal advice. But if you think about an affiliate, that could mean anything. That could mean we have a business relationship where I'm a data aggregator of some type. I have a website and I'm collecting people's information because they're legitimately doing business with me. But I, as a business owner, could also potentially sell that information if it's specifically allowed in the user agreement for me to be able to do that. And so it's a whole nother revenue stream that a business owner could choose to potentially access if they have the legal right to do that. And that gets into a whole lot of legal, parameters and things, but that we're not going to discuss here. But if you think about it, when you sign up for, even when you go to a restaurant,
right.
My wife and I went to a restaurant yesterday, and it was a popular restaurant in Omaha, and they had a line. So they said, hey, we'll call you when your table's ready. Give us your cell phone number, which I did, and my name, just my first name.
Right.
But so just in that, if you think about it, that restaurant then had my name and a valid mobile phone number that I was going to answer.
Yeah.
And so if you think about if you're a fraudster, that's pretty valuable information right there. They know my first name and they know my cell phone number and they know it's a valid number. So they don't have to go through the dialer where it's just dialing random numbers in an area code to try to find somebody who will answer. They know this is a live cell phone number.
Let me ask you, in that particular case,
Yes.
Did you get a call from a live person or was it automated?
In that case, I got a call from a live person, which I did not answer just because I was literally standing outside the door of the restaurant.
Okay.
So I went inside the door and the guy looked at me and hung up the phone.
Okay. Okay. So that was an actual live person.
That was a live person. So that's a case where the restaurant perhaps wasn't quite as sophisticated, maybe. But, there's a lot of, restaurants that are larger that have a full blown database of phone numbers and things. And you can even be a preferred frequent member of that restaurant. And perhaps you even got a profile that says what you'd like to eat. And all of that information you've entered on an app or given to a server or an owner of the business at some point. They could be collecting all that information. And depending on what the user agreement said, that would dictate what they could do with that information.
Or even at that point, let's say you've done everything to protect yourself, but the restaurant is hacked.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's another way that they could get the information. So now you're dependent on somebody else's firewall that you know nothing about or anything that it is that they have to protect that. So yeah, I can see that in this day and age, yeah, it's probably not the wisest move, and maybe restaurants should think about coming up with a different way, because it just the old whatever it was
Yeah.
technology where the little thing would buzz.
A little beeper.
Yeah, I mean that worked.
It worked, and it keeps you anonymous for sure.
Yeah.
If you think about it, these restaurant owners could have every good intention. They've collected this information. They're trying to serve their customers,
Mhm.
but they get hacked, or their database in some way is shared inadvertently. No, not any knowledge of their own. Perhaps they just don't have very good firewalls, and someone hacks into their Wi-Fi, and then is able to then go from their Wi-Fi and get into their more secured database or mainframe, whatever it is, server that has the customer information on it. And the scammers don't care about what the law is. They don't care about what the intended use of that information is. If they can get access to it by breaking the law, they will do it and turn around and then break the law again by calling that phone number, impersonating someone like a police officer
Mhm.
or a public official to try to get us to send them money to avoid a negative consequence.
Yeah, it's just, I look at this and it is just a much more sophisticated way of the bandits out on the trail breaking into a wagon train and stealing everything. This is just the latest version of it. Our information is there. Our belongings are pretty much everybody's 100% online with their finances and with all different types of things. I have auto pays all over the place,
Right?
so
To
there's,
quote Cher, it's just like Jesse James.
yep.
So it's on a virtual level. They're out there and they're trying to get our information.
Is it ever a issue of, okay, pay attention to this particular scam, or is it more you just need to be protected across the board?
Yeah. Well, both. Ideally, being protected across the board is the ideal. Perhaps a lofty goal that we can't quite achieve, but there are specific things that we've seen come up. And when I say we, my company has done lots of research to try to continue to make people aware of this and protect customers from this kind of a thing, any kind of fraudulent attack. The ones that we often see are inheritance scams, romance scams, and unpaid parking ticket slash speeding ticket slash toll road ticket that you didn't pay. And so we can walk through those just briefly, specifically, because I think it is worthy of note for people that might be listening to your show to understand what they look like. So if you think about the inheritance scam specifically, remember on social media, what can a grandparent possibly post on social media that's more important to them and more precious than a picture of their family?
Right.
And perhaps those people tag themselves, or the grandparent perhaps tags the person that is in the picture with them, or multiple people. And so the scammer, then, if that is set to public, that scammer from across the globe can actually see, here's grandmother, here's 3 grandkids,
Right.
and I have their names now. And so if that scammer happens to get grandma's phone number, can then call and say, Grandma, this is granddaughter, favorite granddaughter's name. I'm in real trouble and I need your help. Please don't tell my parents because they'll be so angry, but I'm actually being held by the police in South Padre Island, Texas, or
Right.
Daytona Beach, Florida, because I got into a little bit of trouble. And so it would really help me out if you could send me a few $100 to make this problem go away. And the grandparent, perhaps, and this could be via text,
Yeah.
or it could be a phone call, it could be either one. And, the next thing you know, the grandparent's saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to help my grandchild. Obviously, this is the most precious, one of the most precious people in the world to me. I'll do anything I have to. And so they go down to the bank, and oftentimes they will get cash out of the bank and then go to a cryptocurrency ATM. And it's important for me to note, I'm not personally against cryptocurrency, nor is my company against cryptocurrency. What we're vehemently against is the illegal use of cryptocurrency for transferring money in the situation like this, where it's a fraudulent situation. But the grandparent goes to a crypto ATM, and those are available. There's actually 10 crypto ATMs in Council Bluffs, and they put the cash in the crypto ATM. They punch a couple of buttons to create an email, and then send that money in crypto form to whoever is behind this fraud scheme.
Well, at some point, I'll do a show on crypto that you're not on, so I
Yeah.
can just say whatever I want. But Service Master Restore by Schmader knows it can be hard to get things back to normal when you've suffered serious property damage due to flooding, fire, or smoke. And that can oftentimes lead to mold. And you may be left with all sorts of questions about how to get your home or business back to normal. It's easy. You give Cindy Schmader a call with Service Master Restore by Schmader. Her phone number, 402-339-9911. S&B Country Kennel is the top spot in Southwest Iowa when you need to know your dog will receive only the best. Boarding, daycare, grooming, self-washing, training, and even a membership available to a dog park over an acre in size. S&B Country Kennel also has rescue dogs, so check with them about adoption possibilities. sbcountrykennel.com. That's country spelled with a K. Located just west of I-29 on Bungie Avenue, south of Council Bluffs. But anyway, with all of these things, as we said, there's one that we were a long way from them ever actually getting me.
Okay.
But it started with a text message.
Okay.
And the text message said, "Hey, Anthony, running a few minutes late, wanted to let you know." So to me, I'm thinking, my name's not Anthony.
Right.
So I'm thinking, oh, somebody's got the wrong, but Anthony,
really-
but Anthony needs to know. So I said, hey, just to let you know, you got the wrong number here. You might want to look up and get it to Anthony. And the conversation just keeps going. And I'm like, no, really, and next thing I know, I'm getting a picture of what looks to be some 20-year-old girl from Singapore, which I'm sure is not who I was talking to.
Right.
And then I realized what was going on.
Yeah.
So I have gotten hit with multiple ones of those before.
Sure.
And that is, to me, that's kind of next level because they're slow playing it.
Right.
Well,
that's really the problem, that once you engage with that text, they know I now have a live phone number.
Right.
They may not know if you're male or female or old or young or anything, but they know it's a live phone number. So they come at it with more little pings of what other information can I get this person to share. I'm not, who did you say, Anthony?
Yeah.
I'm not Anthony. My name is Todd. Yeah. Okay, well, you just gave me your first name now. You might even have an automatic, some people have automatic text responses that list their company name on them. So now they know not only that you're not Anthony, but you're Todd, and perhaps you're affiliated with XYZ Media Company. And so then, of course, they're Googling XYZ Media Company to see if they can get a profile picture of Todd. And then they see, because you've got a public, facing page on your website, they've got a picture of you. They know about how old you are. They get all this information. They might even see your bio and know that you're from Iowa originally, and you're doing business here in the local area, and you're a big proponent of caring for our community, and perhaps you even donate money to causes you care about. And so now that scammer uses all that information to say, we're going to send this guy a few solicitations to see if he'll donate to a worthy cause. Of course, the whole time you're thinking you're donating to some worthy cause, and you're really just sending money to the scammer. And
this all launched from me just acknowledging the fact that this was an active number.
Exactly.
And there was a real person there. See, now you're making me question how I ended up responding to these things later, which was I would get one of those that I knew was completely fake, and my response was, thank God you finally reached out. We have been sitting on this money since it was stolen, and we've been waiting for instructions from you on where to go. And I get back, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, don't you play coy with me. You are just as culpable as I am in this. Yes. And if I go down, you go down. And usually they'll stop, but no. Okay. Well, the stuff kept coming in. So what I'm getting,
2 days later, you're getting a different solicitation.
So it was fun while we're sitting and having a drink, and oh, look at this, I'm messing with somebody. Right. But from what you're saying, I'm activating all of this, and now they know.
You went higher on the list of people that they know are active and are likely to respond.
Right.
So, of course, the best thing is let your cell phone perhaps go to voicemail and see if they leave a voicemail.
Hmm.
You can set up some scam screeners on your phone where it'll say right on it potential spam call.
Right.
And of course, I'd suggest people do that because then you would potentially see right away that it's a scam call, potentially, or a spam call of some type. If somebody leaves a message and you find out, oh, gee, that's somebody I did need to talk to, then you call them back.
Yeah.
But once you engage with them by answering the phone and confirming it's a live number or responding via text and confirming it's a live number, they now escalate your name at a higher level or your number at a higher level that you're a live person.
Well, and I'm all over the internet. I
Yeah.
leave a really big online footprint. My phone number is easy to find.
Sure.
So frequently, if it's not a number that I recognize, and this includes like, okay, this is a Council Bluffs exchange,
Right.
that doesn't mean it's a real person. And oftentimes I can't get to the phone anyway. Like if my phone was to ring right now, I'm not going to go answer it
Right.
because I do this a lot. So that's just kind of my default is, okay, I can just be in a recording session, goes to voicemail, I'll return it. For people that I reach out to, I let them know, hey, you can also text me at this number.
Yep.
And if
Yep.
if I know it's a legitimate
Mhm.
contact that I
Right.
need, but I don't have time for the amount of scam calls that come in.
Right. If I was king for a day, I would make it illegal for anyone to mask their phone number. If they're going to
Mhm.
call me, they need to disclose
Yeah.
the valid phone number they're calling from, one that I could potentially call back
Right.
and actually get to the same institution or person.
Hmm.
But when they mask the phone number, they of course make it look like it's coming, usually from a small town in the state that you're in. So my cell phone number happens to be from the 402 area code, even though I've lived in Council Bluffs for most of my adult life, pretty much. Um, so I get a lot of Aurora, Nebraska, or
Yeah.
many smaller towns in Nebraska
I've
that
been getting one from Ottawa a lot, and
yeah,
it's always a different second four,
you
the
bet.
last four,
Last four.
but it always says Ottawa,
It says
Iowa on
Ottawa,
it.
Iowa. So
Yeah.
you think I've got a few friends that live in Ottawa. I
Yeah.
know people. I have clients in Ottawa. They're
Hmm.
probably trying to call me from a different phone number.
Yeah, but they don't ever leave a message
No.
ever. So I've learned that okay, Ottawa is just that's not going to happen.
Unfortunately, it's a town that the scammers have picked on, and they can pick any on the map, and they can look it up and find out what the obviously the area code and
Hmm.
then the prefix for that little town, and then use every number they can think of. And like I say, if they can actually mask the number, and that's unfortunate. I think that's a gap that should be closed.
If you're looking for a laid back spot with great food and even better company, it's the Mile Away on Old Lincoln Highway north of Council Bluffs. This family run bar and grill is your go to for mouth-watering wings, unbeatable weekly specials, and a welcoming atmosphere that feels like home. So, if you're catching a game, enjoying one of those specials, or just unwinding after a long day, the Mile Away has you covered. Open every day, Tuesday through Sunday at 8 for breakfast, and don't forget them at lunch and dinner time as well. It's the Mile Away, Old Lincoln Highway, north of Council Bluffs. Technology should work for you, not against you. At ThinkSpace IT, they provide expert IT solutions to keep your business running smoothly and securely. From cybersecurity and cloud services to network management and tech support, they simplify IT so you can focus on what matters most. Stay protected, stay connected, stay ahead. Visit ThinkSpaceIT.com. All right, so we've got a lot of doom and gloom here. So what can we do? What is? I don't think that there's 100% solution,
No.
but there are ways to limit our exposure and limit the opportunity for the bad guys to get us.
Right. So the first thing I would say is when you think about social media, this would include, Facebook and LinkedIn. Whenever you have the opportunity, close the loop on that and make most of your content that you share with friends only,
Hmm.
or perhaps friends and acquaintances, but that even gets a little risky there. But you can lock down who you're sharing this information with. So if someone does look up on Facebook or LinkedIn and look for your profile, they don't see all of the information that you shared, like
Right.
pictures of your family and everything else. That's one thing that you could definitely do. Passwords is something that's kind of ancillary to this, but you need to have unique passwords. The best advice I've heard is use a longer string of a password, and perhaps change the first letter. Instead of a C, you use a K.
Hmm.
And then,
And make it a sentence.
and make you
Yeah,
bet.
because that way it's easier to remember, but much harder to hack.
And perhaps in the middle of that, you include, like, if it were ABC company, you put ABC in the middle,
Hmm.
and then you have a number and a special character on that,
Yeah.
and you only change the ABC at least in the middle. Any technology or conventions that you use could be potentially broken if they get your one of your passwords.
Yeah.
So you kind of even need to switch that up a little bit. And I get it that that's hard for people to do, but there are some password apps that you can get, and you can keep track of those in a secured way.
Hmm.
That's another thing. Your cell phone should always be some kind of a locking mechanism, either Face ID or a digital number that you type in,
Right.
so that someone can't just, if you think about, you leave your cell phone somewhere and a scammer gets access to it, or just someone that, maybe just has a bad idea of doing something fraudulent with your phone. If you have no lock on that phone, they have access to all that information and can impersonate you very easily. So, uh, keep track of your cell phone, put a lock on it, change your passwords, especially on social media. If you ever go and try to enter your password on a social media site and it just doesn't seem to work,
Hmm.
you might be on a phishing site and you just handed them your username and your password.
Right. Yeah, I've had that happen before, that I'll get an email or something saying that I got a Facebook message.
Right.
Oh, okay, I got a Facebook. Let me open it up. And then it asked me to log in. And I actually did this one time. And I logged in and it didn't log me into my Facebook page. And I forget what it was that it sent me. But at that point, I knew, okay, I just screwed up.
Did it ask you to do it again, perhaps?
Yeah, I think so.
Confirm that. Let's just make sure that
Yeah.
we got that
Yeah.
information.
And that could have been it. And
Yeah.
so that's when I realized, okay, this isn't real. And I typically have a rule that I'm not clicking on links inside of emails.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yes.
most times if it's from somebody that I definitely know, then we're okay.
Right.
But there's so many things that, there was PayPal was big on this, that these things get sent out that, oh, something horrible has happened, click here to fix it.
Yes. Right.
So don't. So in cases like that, just go back to the source. Type in the web address to that particular site and go there and look and see if there's any problem.
And perhaps call that phone number,
Right.
or make sure it's their secured site. It'll have a lock on the URL at the top, so you know it's there. You have a better belief that it is a secured site, and you go to their customer interaction mode, their chat function perhaps, or you call their 800 number. Call the 800 number on the back of your card, not the one that's in the email that says your account has been hacked. Call the one on your card, and talk to your bank or your credit card provider and see if they're getting fraudulent activity.
I love the ones that'll say, like, there's one out right now for Costco, and it says Costco management up in the address. But when you highlight over it, and it will pull the actual email address you're sending it to, it's about a dozen different random characters at gmail.com.
Right.
It's like, okay, I'm thinking probably Costco.
A large retailer like that is
Yeah.
not going to have a Gmail account,
Right.
On a massive scale to be collecting, a correspondence from their customers.
But at the same time, for a lot of these folks you're talking about protecting, they don't have that back end knowledge. To me, I was a kid when CB radios came out, and boy, wasn't that great technology. That's still high up there for me.
Yeah.
But this,
Yeah.
I just have to be careful.
Right. Indeed. And that's the whole point, is that we need to be aware of it. We need to, share information with those we care about be careful when you're online, be careful on what you post on social media. And obviously social media is a great, tool when used appropriately, but just remember, the scammers don't care about the legal use of anything. If their goal is to steal money from you, they're also not going to follow the user agreement that dictated their use of social media. So,
Right. So, anything else that we can do out there, or anything that your company is a part of that can really help with this?
yeah, good question. So a couple of things, as far as like identity theft, if something like that happens where your identity is compromised, The FTC is the government entity that protects us. So you can reach out to the FTC, identitytheft.gov/steps. That's a step-by-step guide if your identity has been compromised. You can also report it with a phone number. The FTC phone number is 1-877-438-4338. So you can actually call them if you prefer to do it that way. But also, we have something exciting that our company is doing that is literally just recently announced as of this week, where we are utilizing a new platform called the Careful Financial Safety Platform. Careful is CAREFULL.
Oh, as in full of care.
In full care, right?
Yes. Okay, I'm with you.
Pretty new, so I haven't heard the how that name was arrived at, but yes, you can think of it that way. Careful. And this is a kind of a aggregated place where consumers would be able to sort of monitor the dark web, take a look at what their credit inquiries are. They can even, if they choose to, have some bank account monitoring. Now they have to upload their bank account information to be part of this, but being careful to make sure you're on the Careful website is critical here. But then those things can be monitored and protect people from potential fraud scams.
I have, I've uploaded my banking information more than once just for certain things that legally, I have to take care of. And so I'm paying them online. So they have to have that information, but I'm nervous every time I do it.
Sure.
Is this, are we sure we're secure here? Kind of thing. So
one of the things that I've heard that's very important is even though you may want to pay for something with the money that's in your account, don't pay for things online with your debit card. Even though you want the money to come right out of your checking account or your savings account, whatever the case may be, pay instead with a credit card, because credit card rules offer us a little more protection, a little more ability for us to not be required to chase after that money once it's been scammed. You have some extra liability when it comes to typically a bank account as opposed to a credit card. Now, obviously, I'm a financial advisor, so I advocate people don't pay interest on their credit cards whenever possible. Pay them off. But using them for the purpose of booking your hotel room, booking a car, even paying for DoorDash, for instance, use a credit card that you can monitor and perhaps even stop using if that number gets compromised and you start seeing charges that aren't yours.
Yeah, that's a lot easier way of doing it. I've had to stop like 3 or 4 debit cards. I have to go in, put a freeze on it, which I can do, but it's a huge pain.
It is, and the banks are doing all they can to try to fight this and protect their customers from this. But anytime you have to request a new debit card or my goodness, get a new banking account number, the waves of that reality start to really wear you down.
Yeah, just how much was coming out of this account and trying to remember everything that was coming out. And okay, and now I've got to go back into this account to take care of it. Oh, what was my password for that? And it is ongoing and it is next level mess. Back early 2000s, I just had a checkbook stolen once. And that was a monster problem. But now you just turn the volume up because so much more can happen so much faster.
And, I've had people in the past say to me, well, gee, I'm safe because I only mail checks to the people that I pay. Well, if someone gets a hold of your mail, they now have your name, your routing number, your account number. They have all that information, and your bank. All of that information is right there on your check. I remember back in the day, we had Social Security numbers on your check.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I do.
We're of that age where we were born in the previous century. And so that happened at that time where they'd have your Social Security number on your check.
You got to do me a favor and don't ever refer to it in that way again.
we were alive in the 1900s.
1900s. First time I heard that, I about drove the car into the ditch. I'm like, oh no, this cannot be. So this is wonderful information, Keith.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for putting all of this together. and letting folks know that, and it's step by step. It's constantly learning and being aware,
Right.
just being aware of your surroundings online.
Right.
Just like you are if you're walking down the street, you're checking to, look both ways before you cross.
Right.
Same kind of thing.
Right.
You want to make sure that you're looking both ways before any of your financial information goes out there.
And that's my hope. Once people are aware of this, they can catch that before it gets to a point where they are going to their bank to get cash out to pay someone for something that is completely fraudulent.
Well, Keith Jones with Edward Jones and giving us some great information today. Thank you so much. And if you liked any of this that Keith shared with us today, if you will do me a favor, you're going to see a like button on whatever platform is there. Might be share, might be follow. Click any of those things. It helps the algorithm be able to push this information out even further so even more folks in our area can see and get this information that Keith is talking about. It's just one little thing that you can do that's completely free, and it helps with that algorithm to be able to let more folks see this program. So, Keith, thank you so much. Appreciate your time, sir, and we appreciate you for watching. My name is Todd Studer, and we'll see you next time.